Fantastic.
All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm back on the show with someone who hasn't been on the podcast in almost 2 years. I was looking back to when the last time we talked was, and it was that episode came out in December of 2020. So I'm going to get you to introduce yourself in a minute, but just in general, things have changed a lot for everyone over that time, just in the sense of back when we first talked, it was right in the middle of the pandemic. I mean, I know COVID is still around, it's still going on, but things were very different then than they are now. So I think to start this off, if you want to just introduce yourself and give a bit of background about who you are and what you do as an artist, and then we can sort of get into what you've been up to over these past 2 years.
Well, thank you very much, Sam, for inviting me. Witchpolice Radio, by the way, it's been a platform that everybody want to be on. Why? Because not only you have a good vibe, but also we believe in the work that you're doing. It's fantastic. Much respect for you first.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
My name is Tresor Ezoman. My artist name is Ezoman. I am a Canadian, but also I am an African from the Democratic of Congo. I've been here in Canada for 12 years now. I love it here. It's home. I've met the family. I've met a career here. Basically, I am an entrepreneur. I work in arts. Basically, I'm focusing on everything arts, music-wise, poetry, you name it, when it comes to clothing and everything that comes with, all the creative minds. And right now, I am the owner and the executive director of Creative Side Entertainment Group.
Oh, cool.
And that's been quite a bit now. We've been working to try to, elevate the culture to the point where everybody feels more safe, more okay to go to hip hop shows, and you don't feel like you want to get stabbed or you want to get killed. Like our hip hop shows now are being more friendly. And we've been working on that because we want a city that actually is more open and it's more welcoming for everybody. A lot of stereotype behind artists, behind people that do music, like the type of music that we do. And we wanted to change that. We wanted to open it up to the new culture, new public, where, you can go there with your daughter or with your sister or with your dad or mom and feel like, you're having a good time. And that's what we wanted to give to people.
Well, that's interesting too, because I think hip hop at this point, it's been around for so long that it is a multi-generational thing that people, you could have kids who are into rap and you could have parents, and it's like, it's been around for decades now. So yeah, that group of listeners is definitely a lot more expansive than it ever was before. So that is a good goal, I think, to make it something that is people feel comfortable and safe and approachable.
100%. And like it's been a while. I've been watching the culture and I can see how much it feels like artists are not really developing to the point where they can't have their own shows if they're not part of the big festivals. You can't see an artist actually saying, hey, this is my merch, this is my clothing line, it looks like artists are being afraid, or I don't know if they're being afraid of just throwing themselves out there. I don't know why they can't see themselves being greater than what they are, and that's been my goal. Like I got 3 albums now on my belt, and they're all being done independently. We'll talk about it more, but the album we're going to be talking about, this is going to be my first album in English. Cool. And they're all being done independently. Sometimes you don't need people to actually give you money to push your projects. Sometimes you just have to put your brain into what you're doing and bring it to light. Like I always say, having a project in mind, it's like being pregnant, and seeing it, being a reality coming to life. It's like, you're seeing a kid getting birth, like sure. a mother giving birth to a kid, So basically that concept applies to everything. Like it comes with the conception first, and then you got to make it happen. You got to make that baby, grow in the womb for 9 months. And then there's going to be time for that baby to come out. And the baby won't come out by themselves. They need time to grow, to get to that level. And that applies to everything in life, I find out.
Sure. Yeah. I think that might be maybe part of the issue that some people are having with their projects, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's poetry or film or anything. I think a lot of people these days are under the impression that they need to succeed immediately, and because we're in a society where everything is instant and everything is at your fingertips right away. If you want to listen to music, you just pick the song, it plays on your phone. You want to watch a movie, you go to Netflix, it's there. All these things are so instant that I think people aren't necessarily willing, or they don't know that they have to put in the effort to make their own project a reality. And I think
I,
that's something that came back in the 90s, especially with punk rock and things like that. That the idea of DIY, the whole do-it-yourself culture, was definitely a very strong thing. And I think that now we have all these tools with the internet that make it so much even easier than it was. And it's always good to see people embracing that.
exactly. Like, for example, I can use myself as an example. I'm not Winnipeg Moose. I am not the lyric.
Yeah,
You know, I am not one of these big artists in Winnipeg, but I'm me. And what I'm bringing to the table, it's actually me. And I'm not saying they are the best, they're the greatest. I am the greatest in my own area, in my own sphere, my world, with what I'm bringing to the table. I feel like I got something to say, and that's how every artist should feel, because I feel like
sure.
we're all in this universe, as human species, right? And we're not here just as an accident. I feel like God Himself, when He created us, He He made us with a purpose. And everybody, and especially I'm speaking with arts
Mhm.
industry, everybody that is doing music, everybody that has talents with poetry, everybody that has any other talent, like if you have any God-given ability and you actually know that you have that God will given ability into you, I feel like the things that you can do, once you realize that, can go beyond what you can see, you
Right.
know and that's why sometimes when I see some people succeeding in their projects and they're succeeding in things, it's just like they just embrace it. Like, you have to open your heart to the point where you're just like, I want this, I'm gonna get it. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter where the money gonna come from or where the help gonna come from. As long as you just put your mind into that, you build onto that, it will definitely happen. And you know what? I am a living proof, because nobody can claim has given me money to go in the studio and record a song.
Yeah.
I always made it by myself independently, right? Yes, I have much respect for my fans, my family. They support me in so many ways. And I couldn't have any fans if actually they didn't like what I was doing. So, but before that, it was like I'll call it like a little ego of me feeling like, I got a voice, I want to push it out there. But really, it wasn't that way. I wanted to create something. And that's actually what pushes me to becoming what I am today. I always wanted to be a voice that actually talk about different topics.
Yeah.
And you can see, like, my first album, Nouveau Monde, Nouvelle Perspective, for example, it's like all these ideas, me being new in the city, and I wanted to find my way into the city. I couldn't even speak English at that time. All what I knew at that time was French, and I was able to speak French, and that's why I made an album in French, because that's the only language that I could have used to be able to express myself.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I go to the second album, it's like a traveling process from, a guy that has been in the city now, and he's finding out things that actually you need to decode them. Like, for me, it looks like the system that I was put in, I had to decode them. Like, I had to put everything into pieces and see, okay, so this is a music industry, this is a culture, this is, so how does that function? How do I find my way into this? You know? And then, like, with the album we're gonna be talking about, Duality, I just wanted to bring, not only my light side, also my dark side, to the point where, you know, I am not afraid of embracing my bad side,
Sure.
because I can use that fuel to do good to the humanity. And I'm not afraid to embrace my light side, because I can use that to do good to the humanity. So basically, we're all created equal with dual, you know, positive and the negative energy that we do have.
Yeah.
And by the time we put all those together, that's when the Big Bang happens. So basically, it's like a traveling through time and space for me, being an artist. Like, I try to be a traveler, and I just express what I see as a traveler.
Well, I do want to talk about the new record in a second, but what
Mhm.
does it feel like to you now to go back and listen to some of those early records where, like you said, you were sort of finding your place and trying to figure out sort of where you fit in the hip hop culture, in the Manitoba culture, in Winnipeg, as someone speaking French and learning English. Like, when you listen back to those records, does it feel like a different person, or does it feel like just a different step along the way for you?
Um, Honestly, I would say it's not like I felt like a different person, but yes, I've changed.
Yeah.
And when I say I've changed, I expect everybody that actually have, like, the time you listen to my album, I expect you to change too.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I've changed the way I look at things. I think I've grown a little more wiser, and I've grown a little bit more. I'm working to be a better person, right? So, and that work, it's like a work in progress. Every single day there's new things that I'm working on. It's either my ego side, it's either my human being side, or it's either my artist side. It's either, like, there's different things that I'm working on every single day. I'm a dad now.
Yeah.
I have a family. um there's certain things that actually I used to do that I cannot do anymore. There's a lot of things that I used to say that I cannot say anymore. Um, but also, I channel the energy. Like, I channel what I usually, honestly, like, all those three albums. I feel like all those characters are not away from who I am today.
Yeah.
Like, it's still linked to what I am doing now, because uh every great person has to have a beginning, like, and those were my beginning. It's like me forgetting my mother. I cannot do that, because that's my mother.
Of course. Yeah.
So, going back to the record and going back to the old production that I did before, I still feel like sometimes I'm even impressed to the things that I'm talking about. Like, some topics, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe actually I said that. I can't believe I actually say that. Wow, I did write this song. So they still impress me, to the point where it's like a fuel to create new music now, and new creation now.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense for sure. So, with this new record, when is it coming out?
So basically, it was a long process. This record was supposed to come out in 2019,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and then by the time I was getting all my promotion stuff done, everything done, COVID hit, and yeah, I was just like, well, this is not looking very good. I don't think it's the right time. And I remember um, having a conversation with my dad, and I told him, I said, why is it just so hard for me all the time when I'm trying to actually put this third album out? There's always things happening. Like, this album, I wrote it like since 2016,
Wow.
before I got burnt out. So basically, um, I had my second album, Message Codé, that I did. I was planning a tour for that album, and then I got burnt out. I got burnt out to the point where I was just like, yeah, no, I can't do music anymore. I even made videos saying that I'm retiring. Like, I was burnt out, and there was a lot of life experiences that I had to go through, um, good and bad, that actually, like, I lost my mom, and then I lost my daughter, and then it was just too much for me to kind of be more focused.
Yeah.
And since then, in 2019, I said I'm gonna put this record out. I definitely planned everything. I was just like, okay, let's go, let's do this. COVID hit. And then I was having that conversation with my dad, and I'm just like, I don't understand why this album doesn't want to come out. Like, what is that actually trying to stop me from doing this? And then my dad was just like, well, it is what it is. I can't tell you what it is. I feel like the universe is not letting you actually right now releasing this album. And I'm just like, okay, well, I will go with the flow, I guess, because that's my dad's favorite word. And I went with the flow for a while until 2020 last year, 2021. I think it was in November or something like that. I was just like, no, I can't keep on going with the flow. Like, COVID, it looks like it's not gonna end, and it looks like, I got a life to live, man, and I got my album done. I just want to share this with my fans, and I know I've been away for a long time, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just done being going with the flow, so I just wanted to be the flow, and I was just like, there we go. Like, right now, I am going to be the flow. I'm making my decision right now. I'm throwing my single, and that's how I throw my first single of the album. I'm back, and then that was Love and Hate when I released that, Love and Hate, and then after that in May, I decided, okay, I'm probably ready now to throw the album. And everybody was just like, no, why don't you wait until summer? And I'm just like, okay, I gave them a chance again. But I was just like, in May, I was just like, oh, I am releasing another song. I can't wait. So I released a second song called I'm Back. And I love everything that I'm talking in that song. And that actually was the beginning of this album coming out. And in July, when I was born, because July 23rd is my birthday, and I was just in my room sleeping, and I woke up and I said, you know what? I've been sitting on this album for a long time. I'm gonna release all the tracks before even the due date. So what I did, I put my album out. It's out actually right now, Duality Ezoman. You can find it on Spotify. I released it the day of my birthday.
Okay, so it's been out for a while, but you have a release show happening.
Exactly.
Okay,
so how did I plan all that? It's like I was just like, you can't just have a baby without having a feast.
Of course, right? You gotta celebrate it, right?
Yeah. I know, like, I've been performing these songs already. People are channeling with them, and the feedbacks are ready. I can see the people are watching what I'm doing. People are actually coming to shows and stuff like that. And I was just like, okay, you know what? It's time to actually make it more official that Duality was a completion. Because for me, I believe, like, going through 3 stages of life, with the first, second, and third album, I felt like it's just a completion album for me to start my career to another level.
Okay.
And basically, I'm celebrating the new me, the new identity, the new future that I'm planning to have with this album. That's why I'm having it on November 5th, 2022.
Which is coming up pretty soon, and I guess that kind of gives you like you said, it makes it official. It gives you a formal recognition of this is now out in the world, even though it's been out in the world for a while. It's you're kind of writing it down in stone that this is now here. I like that. It's always important, right? And a lot of people have not been able to have release shows for albums or EPs or singles or anything over the past 2 years. So I mean, I guess it's got to be a relief almost to formally put that stamp on it and say this is done, this is here, this is what it is, and then
exactly.
Do you need that to sort of move on to the next project? Like, do you have to have that kind of closure of this is officially now an album that's out in the world and everyone knows it's now done, and then move to the next thing, or have you already started working on the follow-up to this one?
Right now, really, I'm just giving this project a room to kind of flow it into people's brain and to get into people's, because after I write songs, I always see myself um, as somebody who is giving people something to do. Like I want at the end of the day, people feel like, you know, I'm actually finding myself with this song. Like I'm actually feeling like they gotta give themselves that credit of being part of it, you
Yeah,
know. And I don't want to rush. I've been rushing in a lot of things lately, and I understand it's just because, you know, as a CEO of the company, there's deadlines and stuff like that. But I refuse to have deadlines on my music and my creation process. I really want to just take that time to channel the energy and to use that energy toward my arts. I cannot know when is gonna be the next project coming out, or but I'm usually writing. Like I have a lot of songs already. The songs that actually I released in Duality, coming up to seven songs, was a huge process of like elimination, because I
yeah,
had a lot of songs actually fit into a different projects, and I felt like, you know, like every song for me, it's like traveling through time and space, right? And some of the songs actually felt like it wasn't right for me to put them in that album, and some of the song felt like, you know, this is right to put it, because like you can see, there's one song I'm talking about love and hate, and
yeah,
it just I got the energy from what was going on in the United States when they were killing black, like police and police brutality and stuff like that. For me as an artist, I wanted to say something about it, and that's why I say some people love and some people hate, but
yeah.
sometimes you love and hate at the same time, you know. I have another song called uh, I'm Back, that I was talking about some of my ideas of, you know, I wanted to explore some um, like a fashion industry. I wanted to explore like a lot of different businesses, and I'm talking about them in my song. It's just like I really talk about what's going on in my life, and what's really what's really triggering the society at this time, right?
Yeah.
So I try to not be a lot away from the reality. Even for COVID, there's a song called New Wave. I talked about, you know, are we okay? Like I was asking everybody, are we okay? Are we still gonna be okay? Like it feels like, you know, we've lost it all, and it's gonna take time for us to build it again. Like, are we gonna be able to build the society that we knew before? Because I
Yeah.
always feel like, you know, what we've inherited came from our parents. Like it comes from generation to generation to generation, and that's how the culture actually was made. And now, you know, we don't know what we are anymore. Like look at Thanksgiving that we just had a couple days ago.
Sure.
A lot of families didn't even celebrate it. Do you remember how we used to do it? Turkey over there, but like it's a feast, man. But now some people still don't want to show up to your house. So that's a new culture, and I feel bad for my kids. I feel bad for every other kid that never explore, you know, the past life that we used to have before. You know, like it's just a new wave, and that's why,
Yeah.
you know, I wrote it in the song. It's basically my songs, you will relate to them because it's really life experience for me.
Well, and what you just said too about how the culture is changing, that's something that affects music in general too, because styles change and sounds change, and I mean, you know, something 10 years ago, even if you want to just stick with hip hop 10 years ago doesn't sound like hip hop 20 years ago, doesn't sound like hip hop today. And that's something that, you know, based on what's happening in the world and what's happening in people's lives, that's going to keep changing and shifting, and kind of morphing into different combinations of different sounds. And so you can't stop that, right? It's just kind of the natural way life happens, is things change. And I like the idea of sort of wanting to document that, I guess, musically, right?
Oh, definitely. As an artist, like I said, um, we we're able to travel through time and space. Like sometimes you're gonna be listening to a song and somebody will be like, man, I feel like I've been there. I feel like I've been in that situation. It's not like they've been in that situation. You're just making them travel with you
Right.
to that world. And probably they've been there, but they never remember, right? So like I'm the type of guy who believe that we as human beings, we have the responsibility to make sure our civilization as species, as human being, will survive again for the next 100 years if we've been in more than a billion years, you know? So it's our responsibility to build the future for the next generation,
Sure.
right? And everything that we talk about and everything that we do, um, we have to be mindful that there's a lot of people listening to us, and there's a lot of people that actually are looking to bond with what we're saying. So yes, it's a huge responsibility as an artist, but I think it's also an honor to be an artist right now. The industry is changing, like you said, and that's very true. Um, it's becoming very hard, not only for musicians, but for almost everybody to survive, to go to live by, day by day.
Sure.
It's like a new experience every day you wake up now, right? So as an artist, we see that, and we will definitely gonna bring our contribution as artists. For me, probably it's gonna be through music, through fashion, through culture change, like through projects that actually I have in mind for the city. And that's my contribution. And I hope everybody will feel like, they have to do something
Yeah.
for the culture,
Well, and I
and
think
that's
sorry, I was going to say, I think that's a good point, that often when things are the hardest, that's when you get the most resonant art is created, when there are people are struggling and people are, not sure what's going to happen when they wake up the next day. And that those type of circumstances, they tend to generate, for, obviously you don't want to be in those kind of situations, but when people are you know struggling to make ends meet, to pay rent, to get to feed themselves, to look after their family, those things are hard, and they tend to generate really poignant art.
exactly. And another thing is like the life we're living right now. um I I believe that, you know we're just living in another form, right? So you can't be selfish to the point where you're not feeling like you have to take care of we have to take care of each other, because no matter how life goes, I believe that we always live through different forms, right?
Right.
So and I feel like in every life that we live, we have to make sure we're playing our roles, and sometimes to find those roles are very tough. um but with God, and with the knowledge of that self, it can help you to maybe find yourself better, where you fit better, and be better at bringing that help to the people in need. Like right now, I was working in downtown Winnipeg a couple days ago at night. It was at 1 o'clock. I was just feeling like I just want to walk. So I walked through Provencher, and then I walk all the way down to downtown. And man, I had my eyes actually. I cried because the amount of people that I saw outside
Yeah.
homeless, it's insane. It's crazy. And I was just like, what if this is me? Like, what if this is my grandfather?
Yeah.
What if this is my grandmother? Like, I felt so bad to the point where I was just like, is there anything the city is doing for this kind of people? Because I believe, I don't think all of them are just drug dealers, or I
No, of
don't
course
think
not.
all
No,
of them
no.
are just there for drugs or alcohol. I feel like maybe they're in the time and space in their life where, things are not just working well. And I feel like we need more projects like that. And I haven't been talking about this yet, but I feel like maybe in the future with my next goals, probably it's not going to be about me making my money anymore in my pocket. with my music. I feel like I want to channel that energy and see if actually I can start doing something for these homeless. I don't know how much help they have, but I it breaks my heart. Like I was
Yeah.
looking at them and I'm just like, wow. I had a conversation with one guy and my heart was just like, I was just like, this is crazy. Like he used to have a good job. I wouldn't say the name, but you know, he was a lawyer. Like he had a good job. He was able to afford his life, but life the way it changes for him, I was just like, well, and this can happen for everybody. And now there's a lot of people, instead of helping this guy, they're judging this guy. You
Sure.
know, I feel like we need that platform where, you know, and I will be very happy actually if you can maybe think about this, you know, try to have those interviews so people can be aware of what's going on in the city, especially in downtown Winnipeg. There's a lot of homeless people that can maybe inspire us to not, you know, take whatever mistakes that they did and to be better so we can avoid whatever that they did, or we can avoid what the universe give to them somehow, you know.
Yeah.
Those interview probably can help the society to be better, you know.
Well, I think a lot of it is just getting to know. I mean, getting to have a conversation with someone like that, and seeing them as as an individual human with hopes and dreams and love and everything they've gone through, rather than just, oh, there's another one, right? I mean, seeing people as for themselves rather than just a number or a statistic.
definitely. And the concept of duality actually, it comes from those bases. It comes from those bases because sometimes we can do good to somebody, but when you're looking at the good you did, when you're looking at the good you did with another perspective, maybe it's really bad to
Sure.
the other eyes of other people, right? And really, I feel like it depends on which angle you're looking at things. You know, really the concept of good and bad, it can be still the same. Like you can see the arm right here, right now, you can see black, but on the other side, you can see a little bit of light, right? So, um, and that's a concept. Like we have to embrace that, you know, uh, concept of oneness and concept of duality, where, you know, don't be too hard on things when it's not working for you and say it's bad, and don't be too aligned to a point because it's working for you. Like
Yeah.
everything has to make, you know, sense to both angle, right? Not
For
only in one side but both sides.
for sure, and I like that
Mhm.
concept for your record. It's a really cool concept.